What's going on, everyone? Today we're here with the brand new Axial Wraith 1.9. When I was told that this rig was on its way, I was really excited because I've been a huge fan of the Axial Wraith, and there's a ton of different things and options that you can do with a Wraith. We've seen it over years and years of people customizing those 2.2 size vehicles. Some of the customizing that was popular with the old 2.2 Wraith was to turn into a 1.9 size vehicle, and Axial has finally done that. But they did it in a really nice way, going much further beyond what any of us did when converting them. Now, this is very different underneath from what the Axial Wraith was initially. A lot of things have been changed around, moved around, and upgraded to really facilitate this vehicle to be an awesome platform in 1.9. The battery has been relocated from the rear to the front, and it's got a realistic opening hood. It uses two hood pins, and the actual hood opens up just like a full-size vehicle. Also, underneath of that hood, we've got a realistic style engine cover, which is also your waterproof receiver box, and it covers up the chassis mounted servo. The front mounted battery box is built out of some molded components that also comprise front inner fenders. That battery box is adjustable to work with many size batteries. I've got a 5000 milliamp 3S LiPo that fits well. There's also little adjusters that come pre-installed in there to take up any slop that you may have in that battery box in case you're not running as large of a battery. My 3S 5000 fits nicely with those things removed, and it doesn't go anywhere. You will want to run a full length battery, similar to like the length of a hard case LiPo of some sort, just because that this battery box isn't a full one-piece unit, so if you ran a really short battery, you may have a hard time keeping it in place. Now we'll come back to the chassis details again in a second, but underneath we've got the AR44 axles. These are the same axles that we saw used in both the Honcho and the Deadbolt. They've got the molded in C-hub for scale looks. I've actually had really good luck with those. Some people don't like the one piece. I actually prefer it. They don't rotate like the slide-on style, and they actually have held up really well for me in the past. It does have the dog bone axles in the front, and then we've got a 12-inch wheelbase on this vehicle using the Axial plastic links that we saw first on the Axial Deadbolt. These plastic links are actually very rigid. I ran them for quite a while on my Honcho with no issues before I ended up changing them out. They're going to get you down the trail for quite a while, so no need to rush to replace those right away. This chassis is using the standard 90mm Axial SCX10 shocks that we've seen time and time again. Driving those axles, we've got the Axial gray version of their SCX10 transmission. We first saw this released in the CRC SCX10, and inside of this one, we also have metal gears. Now, the new 1.9 Wraith is coming in two optional colors. One, this kind of matte or flat black version, and an orange version. I can't believe I didn't get an orange version either, but I'm still happy. Both versions come with the chrome style plastic machete wheels, as well as the Nitto Trail Grappler tires in the S30 compound. This isn't their stickiest compound, it's more of their ready to run compound that we've seen on most of their vehicles in the recent past. Now, as I mentioned, there's a lot of changes to this chassis underneath as well. This isn't just the same old Wraith chassis. I think other than maybe like the sides, the top, and some of just the braces here and there, it's pretty much new underneath. Axial's molded all new frame rails that go from front to back and comprise these boat sides on the side here to hold the SCX10 skid plate that we've all become used to. The new molded chassis rails are optimized for the width of the AR44 axles to give you plenty of shock clearance front and rear, and these frame rails also comprise the mounts for the chassis mounted servo, and there's a separate bolt-on front panhard mount. The shock mounts are very similar with 3 adjustment holes both front and rear, so you can play around with the angle of your shocks a little bit. There's an all new style body on this vehicle as well. As I mentioned, it's got an opening front hood assembly, and old bodies wouldn't necessarily work very easily with this. You definitely want to be looking for something that was designed specifically for a 1.9 Wraith if you're thinking about upgrading this in the future. But the opening hood design is pretty awesome. Again, this is similar to how a lot of us used to modify our old Wraiths with a front mounted battery box and an opening hood. But Axial just went a little bit further and did it right with nicely molded edges so that the hood sits nicely in there. We've got real hood pin mounts. Overall, it just looks like a study of everything that we used to do, and they just did it that much better. On the very front of this chassis, if you look closely, you'll also see a familiar bumper. This is the Axial CRC bumper that's tucked way in, almost right up against the body. The new chassis has integrated bumper mounts so that you can slide on regular Axial style bumpers. Makes it easy. If there's aftermarket options that use that mounting style that you'd really like to put on there, it's going to be a very simple bolt-on. The body is held extremely rigid in the front by this new molded plastic front grille, and it's got a radiator style core support behind it, which holds everything closely, and we've got functioning LEDs in the front just to give you just one more piece of realism. The interior is the same interior that we saw from the Wraith Spawn, which is that molded style one-piece interior with a driver figure molded into one side and no passenger molded at all. I personally prefer this style of interior. It gives the nice realism of having a driver in place but without having to, put some sort of figure in there or anything like that. It's also nice and lightweight. Up front under the hood, we do have this V8 style engine cover showing here, and that is actually disguising both the waterproof receiver box that's located up there, as well as kind of goes over top of the Tactic servo. We do still have a Tactic TSX 45 servo in there. However, this is the first Axial vehicle that I've received that has this STX2 Spectrum radio. So we're still seeing a little bit of a mix. We've got a Spectrum radio, but we still have a Tactic servo, and we've got a Dynamite labeled ESC, which is going to be very reminiscent of the old Tactic AE5L version, as that does power the front LEDs. One difference if you bought Axial vehicles in the past though is that this comes now with an IC3 plug, which is the same shape basically as an EC3. The IC3 has got an extra little plug in there for some intelligence with the Spectrum brand chargers and batteries. Just note that you'll either need batteries with an IC3 and EC3, or you'll need to get an adapter or change that plug out. I've actually got one of these little adapters from Venom that's got an XT60 on one end, which is what I use, and an EC3 on the other. So I can plug this right into there, and now I can plug in my XT60 plugged batteries. So personally for me, this is probably my favorite Axial 1.9 vehicle available right now. And I'll also say that I think this is the most scale Axial 1.9 that's available now as well. I'm looking forward to throwing my batteries out here and going to hit the rocks very soon, and I'll definitely put up a video on that as soon as I get it out there. I think Axial did a great job taking and balancing the components that they have to make a durable, affordable, and really exciting truck. But let me know what you guys think if you're looking to pick one up soon. I'm looking forward to taking this thing down to SoCal this weekend, having a little bit of fun down on the rocks there. So with that, guys, hit the like button if you enjoy it. Subscribe if you're not already. Hit the notification bell so you see the videos as soon as they get uploaded. Thanks for watching as always, and we'll see you on the next one.